people who drink whiskey drink it because it's familiar. You take a drink of whiskey and it has memories in it, and it has that warmth, so.
I like that. It's got memories in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tradition.
And if you drink too much, it dumps all of those.
It dumps all those memories, right?
Right out of there.
And it is a tradition, yeah.
Starting with that.
I'll give you
Welcome, Lindas.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, yeah. Welcome to a couple of Lindas, because we're all just a bunch of Lindas out here trying to figure out life. One day at a time, one moonshine, one whiskey, one bourbon at a time, obviously. And which is, the topic of tonight's discussion. With me, I've got bartendress Sam.
Hi.
Hi. And we are at the home of the dudist.
Hello.
Don here has got quite the extensive collection of all things brown ale, brown liquor, all the deliciousness. So we are kind of taste testing a couple different things and learning the history of whiskey. A lot of us are, big fans of whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, moonshines, all that good stuff. So we just kind of want to, I don't know, this is like a love ode, I guess, to this. And maybe some folks don't necessarily know the difference. So this will be kind of a 101 education on what is the difference between whiskey, bourbon, scotch, moonshine, I don't know, Canadian whiskey.
Oh, no, not Canadian.
Not Canadian whiskey. We won't bother with
We're
that
not
today.
about it.
Right.
Not about it. So, yeah, I guess, how was, tell me, how's your week? How's your week been?
The week's been good. I've been running around all over, trying to get stuff done for my day job. On my days off, which is the worst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, it's been really good.
Good. How about you, Sam?
Week's been great. Laundry, kids, whiskey, like you do.
The usual.
The usual.
Yeah, I had a pretty good week. It's been pretty slow at work, which has been nice. So I've been able to just, catch up on a few things. But I guess what I always like to start off with, what is making you happy? What's making you happy this week, Don?
Oh, me happy this week. I think the happiness this week has been stemming from playing guitar. Actually, I've been teaching myself a few new songs, stuff that I've wanted to learn for a while, and finally sat down and went, okay, we're going to do it.
Nice.
And yeah, that's what's making me happy is my guitar.
What about you, Sam?
Well, I'm really excited about all the things that are going on in Cookville. Art Prowl, this restaurant's opening. We just did like a trick-or-treat on the west side. We had wine on the west side. We had Taste of the Town. I just really love that this community is about things like art and drinking. It's good.
Lots of drinking in Cookville.
Lots of drinking in Cookville. It's good.
That's,
when I grew up here 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Different. Very different.
Very
from
different.
then. Yeah, definitely the fall, there is a lot of that. I don't know why that happens, but starting in August, it's kind of like a 100-yard dash to New Year's.
Right.
And then January, you just kind of have to lay low.
Recover.
Yeah. What's making me happy this week is, Election Day was a little bit of go. Mm-hmm. And there was
Virginia.
Virginia. Knocking it out. Mm-hmm. We definitely got some more diverse voices in offices across the country. Minneapolis, some other states. And
it's uplifting.
Yeah, it's very uplifting. It feels pretty good. Like it's, not all doom and gloom.
Right.
From
yes.
from a year ago. But it just it sits as a reminder that we have to be vigilant. We can't, sit back and think, oh, everything's good, because one election went well. So like you lay low and then boom.
Right.
What
We have
happens?
Then this happens.
That's why we drink whiskey.
That's why we drink.
Right.
So, kudos to everyone that got out the vote and all the folks that were on the ground getting people mobilized to get to the polls. Thank you for all of the hard work that you did. In Tennessee, we will have our chance to do some of that in December. I think there's some primaries that are happening, so let's make sure that we get out there and we vote, because obviously it makes a difference. We've got so many folks of color, trans folks in office on the local levels. I mean, because that's where it starts. You got to start with that city council, that state legislature.
Absolutely.
That's where the difference starts to happen. And then, you get some popularity and you can become a state, U.S. senator. So with all that, let's get started with our celebration.
Yes.
All right.
Cheers. Wow. There it is.
All right, so we are kind of, I guess, dissecting and going back to the history of what is whiskey. And we are starting from the beginning, right? Which is what? Moonshine?
Moonshine. This is some South Carolina moonshine, actually. A friend of mine's cousin makes this, which is the way you usually get moonshine is, somebody who knows somebody. And this is apple moonshine. They threw a couple slices of apple down in it to give it that dark coloring and then flavor of the apple as well. But yeah, this is your basic whiskey.
Yeah.
Is moonshine.
All corn.
All corn.
And
yeah.
corn liquor.
So what makes it the basis?
Moonshine is known as White Dog in the industry. It's your basic alcohol product before it goes into the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get moonshine, all your moonshine is going to be pre-barrel whiskeys. And then once it goes into the barrel, then that is what the aging process and getting the flavors from the barrel is what creates our whiskey. So your moonshine is your basic. When you're tasting a moonshine, you're tasting the base notes for your whiskeys. You're the corn, the sweetness of it. Whether or not some people use molasses or sugars in their moonshine, so you'll be able to taste those different things in that very base of sipping a whiskey.
My dad always told me, too, that if you're going to drink moonshine, you should pour it on a plate and light it on fire first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It burns blue, drink it. It doesn't, it's going to make you blind. Thanks, Dad. At 12 years old. Great. That's good.
Good life advice.
That's good life advice, Dad. Thanks.
Passing along that familial knowledge.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I'm not blind yet, so.
Hey. Success.
It's worked.
And so, and Tennessee has obviously a rich history in moonshine, where a lot of the moonshiners were in the hills of Tennessee, especially during the Prohibition. It was this time period of, looking out for the revenuers. So a lot of people kind of, started to hide out. They kept making their product, but they were hiding out in some of the surrounding areas where it was a little more hidden, and were able to keep making it. And nowadays, I know it's not as, crazy illegal as it was before.
Right. You can legally make, I don't know how much it is in Tennessee. South Carolina, I think it was 15 gallons, 10 or 15 gallons you could legally make for personal consumption. So, yeah, they've really loosened up a lot of the legality of moonshine.
Which is why you can buy it in liquor stores now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not as fun as the one you get from your cousin's
not
best
as
friend.
good either. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, in recent years, there's definitely been a resurgence of, moonshine kind of making I feel like a comeback, or making its, way into the stores, into homes, through these different labels that have been coming out. Like, I know that there's Poppies and Short Mountain, Popcorn Sutton,
Smoky Mountain, or Short Mountain, isn't it?
Short Mountain, Moonshine, and a couple other places. And I know if you go to anywhere, like in Gatlinburg, or Pigeon Forge, or East Tennessee, that you can do a little tasting.
Yeah,
they've got 4 distilleries now in Gatlinburg, I think. So
yeah,
it's amazing.
And so, okay, moonshine is the beginning, and then you put it in the barrels to age it to get some flavor.
And color.
And color. And more than likely, a lot of that was accident.
Yeah.
Because you had to transport your White Lightning somehow. So you put it in a barrel and you ship it someplace, and when it reaches the other end, it's got the flavor and color in it.
Typically oak.
Yeah, the oaks and all
You
that
don't want to
stuff.
put it in a pine barrel. That's weird.
Right. Yeah.
Cedar. That tastes funny.
And since we're talking about barrels and stuff, Jack Daniel's right now is doing maple barrels. And one of the things that they're finding is that the maple doesn't swell like the oak, so they're losing a lot of product. And so this run that we have of the maple Jack Daniel's, the maple cask finish, might be the next couple of years are all we get.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're having so much trouble with keeping the product in the barrel. You're going to lose it anyway.
Angel share.
Angel share, yes. You lose about a third of your barrel, roughly.
Well, you were saying something about it was a way to get corn transported back in the day.
Yeah, in the United States.
Talk about that.
When we moved onto the other side of the Appalachians, there's a lot of farms, and farms grew lots and lots of corn and all that stuff because that's what was good for this area. And what was happening was it was cost prohibitive to send the corn bulk over the Appalachians. So what they do is they distill it, put it in the barrels, and send it that way. When they'd pay less tax on it because there was smaller size. And then Shays' Rebellion was when George Washington decided, we need to start taxing this whiskey that's coming over because we're not getting our money's worth. Plus, he had a lot of programs he wanted to pay for through the government.
There's that.
There it is.
There's always that underlying reason for things.
Yes.
So okay, we're transporting corn, and then it becomes this White Lightning, and then as it's being transported, it's getting its flavor and coloring and whiskey, becoming whiskey. So then you have all of these different brands of whiskey. What makes them each distinct? Like, what are they doing differently? Is it the barrels? Is it a different kind of corn or mash, or like what is it?
Really depends on the percentage of what grains you have in the sour mash. So like bourbon, for instance, it's a whiskey, but it has to be 51% corn or more. And a rye is 51% rye or more. So, but if you have them all and not in various amounts, then that's a blend.
Okay.
In a lot of your flavors from your whiskey also depends on the person tasting it while it's in the barrel. Like Maker's Mark does not put a year on their barrel. What they do is they do by color and flavor. When it reaches a certain color and a certain flavor, that's when they pull the barrel. It may be a 5-year, it could be a 3, it could be a 12. It just depends on that barrel and that whiskey.
Explain the reasoning behind the years. Like if a person is at the store and they're looking at, this, whiskey or this bourbon was such and such a year, like what difference does it make?
Well, it follows that general guideline with everything gets better with age.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I'm getting better with age. I don't know about
that some of it is also like when you're dealing with a single barrel or small cask or something like that. They keep track of the years as well. So when they get different flavor profiles, they can research that. Whiskey's big business. They can research the temperatures and things like that, so they can try and duplicate as much as they can and move barrels around in the stacks at your distillery. So some whiskeys may be good after 3, as Maker's Mark says, they may be good after 3 simply because they had hot and cold summers and winters that really brought the flavors out in the cask, and other ones were milder years, so it takes them a little longer. But yeah, it's a profile change in the flavor. So they want to mark that as this is how we get this. We let it go for 16 years under these conditions.
So do we have a nice straight whiskey to taste?
We do. I have one of the best whiskeys ever, in my opinion. I have a bottle of Jack Daniel's 150th anniversary.
Nice.
Awesome stuff. If you find a bottle of this, buy it. So we're gonna go with
that's a Tennessee whiskey,
a Tennessee. Yes,
which means it's filtered through charcoal.
yes.
So that's what makes Tennessee whiskey Tennessee.
And it's made in Tennessee.
Yeah. It's called the Lincoln process, putting it through charcoal.
As opposed to what?
Various things. Peat, rocks. I mean, they do all kinds of stupid stuff.
Rocks.
The charcoal is your standard. The peat is what they use for Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's what gives the Scotch that really heavy, smoky earth flavor.
Yeah.
And we'll just start with this 150th just because it's an awesome drink. And it's kind of that Jack Daniel's is the world standard for whiskey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their market is the entire world, unlike some of the other whiskeys, but so they're kind of that standard. And I think the 150th is probably one of the pinnacles of their.
How did that happen? That Jack Daniel's.
They made a good whiskey.
Yeah, they really.
They did it right. Okay. And it's a very distinctive flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a lot of Tennessee whiskeys, and most of them basically will all kind of taste the same, like within the realm. But Jack has a very distinctive wang.
Yes, that top bite that you get at the back of their mouth. Jack Daniel's.
And it's because of the water source.
Yeah. Yes, that limestone that aquifer that runs from Bourbon County under Tennessee and all the way to Jack Daniel's.
So God forbid if that spring ever ran dry.
Or gets contaminated in some way.
We're done.
I'm sure
Jack.
it's heavily protected for that
well,
reason. Or maybe
you
not.
might be surprised.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Because
if you're
we no longer have an EPA that we can speak
right.
of.
There's
and
that.
we weren't going to get political, were we?
We weren't.
But this is one of the reasons why we need an EPA, so that we can keep getting
Jack.
our
Yes.
So we can keep Jack pure and tasty
from the clean water system.
Yeah. So the 150th. This is one of those awesome ones.
It's kind of sweet right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of
and then there's that wang right there.
There it is. Yeah, it takes a minute. Like a lot of times, people that become, I guess, I don't know, more sophisticated, whiskey or bourbon drinkers, it feels like I get a sense that people look down on the OG Jack Daniels, the black label.
Yes, the old number 7.
Number 7. So when you pull out this bottle of 150 and to you it's like the pinnacle of whiskey. So why did Jack Daniel's number 7 get such a, I don't know, I don't want to say bad rap, but like there's just feels like this, that's beneath everyone. If you drink that, then you're an amateur.
It's probably because where we're from.
Okay.
Because I don't think that people in the rest of the world feel that way.
Okay.
You are correct. Yeah.
That's our old hat. That's not fun. We grew up with that. We grew up with that. In my bottle when I was 4. Like, I'm over it. I did introduce you to my dad earlier. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jack Daniel's, in some ways, gets a bad rap as a mixer. Old number 7.
Jack and Coke.
Yep.
Yep.
And and Jack and Coke is like the number 1 drink in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody
Really?
knows Jack and Coke.
Not
Yeah.
Jack and Pepsi.
So why?
Yes.
Ew.
Jack and Coke. Right?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't even sound right. I'll have a Jack of Pepsi. Get out of
Why?
my bar.
Can I see your ID?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, you're 12. Get out. But when you said Jack and Coke and you had that response, why is that? Like as a bartender, why is that?
Well, you're just ruining it. But, I'm not going to tell you how to drink your whiskey.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own. Like, you want to throw it back, throw it back. You want a couple of cubes in it, great. You want to put it on the rocks, great. Some ginger ale, cool.
You want to bastardize it with Pepsi? Fine.
Sure.
That's an upcharge.
Yep.
That'll be an upcharge.
Yes.
If you ask for Pepsi, that's an upcharge. So, all right. So what makes this 150 so special? This one is the 150th anniversary.
150th anniversary of Jack Daniel's. What they've done with this is they've gone back to an older recipe for it. They also changed the way a lot of our oak barrels now, they just like char the inside of the barrel instead of smoking the entire thing, with the 150th is they toasted the entire barrel and then charred it. So the notes that you're getting are going to be that deeper kind of smoky wood instead of the sweeter notes of the non-toasted barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's one of the things that makes the 150th special. The other thing is that there's some kind of magic when they put these things in barrels. That's when I talked to the guys down at Jack Daniel's about it at the Big House.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a Tennessee Squire,
Yeah.
you get to go to the Big House. And they were telling us about it, and all of them seemed to agree that there was just something about the bottling or the cask process for this whiskey that just made it phenomenal. So
Yeah. And it's in limited supply.
it is in a very limited supply. What's out there is all that's going to be there. There's no reorder on this.
Oh, wow.
Allocated.
Yes.
And you probably had to go to Lynchburg to get this bottle. Like, this isn't just sitting around in your average store.
You have to know your liquor stores.
Okay.
We have several
Become
in Cookeville.
friends with
Yes.
your liquor stores.
We have a fantastic liquor store here in Cookeville. It's called Tower. And she over by
never
IGA.
Is that Crown?
Crown.
Crown, sorry, Crown.
Crown.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Crown
My
Wine
Crown
and Spirits.
Wine and
Wine and
On the
Spirits.
corner of Washington and 10th.
This is where we get to start swearing because this lady knows her shit.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah, you go in there and ask her for, I'm looking for this flavor profile, or I usually drink this.
And
She knows.
because she knows her shit, she's friends with distributors
Mhm.
who will give her bottles that are allocated.
Yes.
Because they know that she knows who to sell it to. She's not just going to give it to like some Joe Schmo off the road that's going to
Yeah.
shoot it all in
Shots.
one night
Yeah.
with the bras. You know, like it'll go to
It'll go to a
probably
good
the
home.
liquor cabinet to sit for 5 years with
Yeah.
little sips here and there on special occasions.
Yes.
Okay.
Treated right.
Treat it right.
Treat it right. Oh, say, okay, so we've got the Tennessee whiskey is pretty much the standard for whiskey, and then there's all the different variations of it, right? So there's Irish whiskey, there's Canadian whiskey, and then
Irish used to be the standard.
Irish was originally the standard.
I think so until Tennessee did it
Oh,
better. No, I wouldn't say better because I'm an Irish whiskey drinker.
yeah.
I like Irish whiskeys. I might like Irish whiskeys better than Scotch, even though the processes are kind of the same. I just think the Irish leave a little more flavor in it. Because to me,
I
Scotch
like their
is
distilling process.
Yeah.
It makes it very, very smooth. And I think typically to be an Irish whiskey, it's always distilled at least 3 times. Could be more.
yes.
Could be up to 30 times. And whew, you're probably paying a pretty penny for that. But it just makes it smooth, super drinkable. Throw back a shot, call it a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've never sat and sipped on an Irish whiskey. It's usually been a Jameson and Newcastle or something like that.
Right.
Gotcha. Well,
Jameson, I think, would be the
probably the standard.
standard.
Yeah.
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 You know, Bushmills is great. Powers is good. Patty's got a name for it
Mhm.
coming up these days. Might be because Fireball bought it and
Oh,
does a advertising campaign.
Yes.
Because Fireball's not good. Let's be honest.
No,
That's
it's
not
not.
whiskey.
It's
also,
not.
that's not whiskey.
it is chemicals.
Yep.
hmm
And cinnamon, I guess. No.
Cinnamon imitation.
Yeah.
Imitation cinnamon.
They
Disaster.
stuff Fireball in it.
Horrible
Yeah.
stuff.
Remember the candies?
Oh, yeah,
Strawberry,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God.
It is what it tastes like.
Used to drop those in the PGA, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
good times.
You remember that?
Maybe to do that.
Well, you're talking about Irish whiskeys and Scottish whiskeys and all that stuff. It's kind of, I mentioned to you at one point that the history of whiskey is kind of the history of America. It's because, and I say that flippant, but at the same time, I'm kind of serious about it because what we now know as Scotch got its start in like 1492, 95, right in there, the same time Columbus was trying to get Isabella to pawn her jewels so he could discover the alternate route to China. So whiskey in America kind of
Yeah.
are all the same age.
It all goes hand in hand.
Yes.
And so, But it started though, really. You were saying in Ireland and with Irish whiskey and Scotch and all that, and then it just kind of transported to the Americas once they were, colonized by, colonizers, uh, and started making it, our way. But give a little bit of the history. Like obviously, this goes, way beyond, 1492. Do you know some of the history of that?
Whiskey's one of those things that, like beer, it's always been around. I think they demark that point of Scotch as the beginning of whiskey simply because that was when whatever monks were doing it
was perfected.
They perfected their process, and they said, "This is how we're going to do it, time after time after time." So I think, and that's where whiskey. People who drink whiskey drink it because it's familiar. You take a drink of whiskey and it has memories in it and it has that warmth, so.
I like that. It's got memories in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tradition.
And if you drink too much, it dumps all of those.
It dumps all those memories, right?
Right out of there.
And it is a tradition, yeah.
Well, that's what I kind of love about like this style of spirit is that there's a story behind it. Like I'm not a vodka to me is the most boring and just dull spirit that there is because there's no story behind it. It's like, oh, I just let this stuff ferment and then I got this.
Vodka's more like a compliment to whatever mixer you've got.
Yeah.
And whiskey
it's just an ends to a means.
You need the mixer to complement it.
Yeah.
Or no mixer.
Or no mixer.
Preferably.
You can get the flavor of it.
But I'm not telling you how to drink your whiskey. So.
But you can have a conversation about whiskey. You can have a conversation about vodka. I mean, unless you live in Russia. I mean, I know that there are, different Russian tea rooms and vodka bars. Like I know there's one in New York that I've been trying to get to, but each time I'm there, I just don't end up going there. Just something else kind of catches my eye because squirrel, and
shiny.
But that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this because there is this story. There's history behind it. There's family behind it. Like if you have ancestors who made their own version of it at home, or it was used as medicine. When you were sick as a kid, they gave you a little
whiskey with some lemon and
great story.
Get you a little hot toddy.
Oh, a little hot toddy. Yeah, 5 years old, had a cold. Yeah. My mother calls my grandmother. My grandmother says, "Well, just give her a shot of whiskey and some hot tea with lemon and honey." So my mom's version of shot, I guess, way different than my grandmother's version of shot in iced tea. Oh. Yeah. I remember drinking it, making a face, and going to bed. Apparently, no.
No. You were up
Cut
singing
to
show
me
tunes.
doing cartwheels and telling jokes to her friends while they all laughed at me.
And then passing out.
Thanks, Mom.
Right.
And that's how it
Blacked
started.
out the first time at 5. Lighting moonshine on fire at 12. Great.
So what is this now we've got?
Well, what I just kind of gave us a little bit of is some Irish whiskey since we were on the subject. This is actually called the Irishman. It was brought to me by a buddy of mine from Ireland. It was one of those, he had a layover, and so he was running to the liquor stores and saying, "I've got a buddy in the United States, and I want to take him something you can't get in the States." So
and
this is...
I've never had this nor heard of it.
Yeah, this is
for
one of
an
those...
Irish whiskey, I feel like that's huge for me.
All right.
So I'm excited. I'm learning things today too.
Yeah, so that's the story behind this. It was brought to me from Ireland by a buddy of mine, and God bless the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's got
that's good.
Yeah. I do actually like this. I've not had...
Tiniest hint of peat.
Yeah.
Like,
Not real heavy on it.
minuscule, yeah.
Yeah, because I've gotten to the point where I can't drink Jameson at all anymore.
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
mean, I can if I, gun in my head, I guess, but I'd rather not. But this goes down smoothly.
I feel like you're more of a bourbon girl.
I am a bourbon girl, but I'm getting to a point where a lot of it's, I guess, giving me indigestion or heartburn or something.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was over here the other night and I was fine, but then after a while I started to get a little
extra warm in the
Yeah,
chest.
it stayed warm up here in that region near the esophagus. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to slow this train
Slow
down.
the roll. I gotcha.
So I need to find something that does not have that effect on me because I was really loving that Elijah Craig when I was here, and it didn't have that effect on me. But when I was out another night and ordered it, I was getting a little bit of that, and I don't know how much of that has to do with maybe like what I ate that day or versus I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to find that good formula.
I gotcha. And some of it may also be the bottle of Elijah Craig you had. I mean, like the two I've got over there, one of them is a small batch 12 year and the other is just a straight small batch. If you were just doing a straight Elijah Craig, they may have done something different in that bottle.
That may be the problem because I think I just ordered Elijah Craig. I didn't pay attention to what I was having here. I think I just ordered like, oh, I saw the label. I was like, oh yeah, do that. I need to look for the small batch.
I would recommend every time look for single barrels and small batches.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're just
almost guaranteed
yes
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A little knowledge there. If
Also,
you don't want to get
either a
heartburn,
little ginger ale or soda water might
help it out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I need to do that because, yeah,
that
was not that was not a good feeling at all. I'd like
this
that to
Irishman
go
is
away.
delicious, by the way.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. I've enjoyed that bottle, and I hate to drink it all simply because once it's gone,
It's gone.
Of course, we have the power of the internet now.
That's true.
You can order things from elsewhere, which is nice. You just have to be willing to pay the excise tax.
That is nice. Because I was concerned about, like, your friend was bringing it back. He was like, oh no, how is he getting it back here? But, rules
Smuggled
have...
in the suitcase.
In his duffel bag, yeah.
Wrapped in my underwear. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing to claim.
No, that's all me.
Just happy to see you.
So, Don, tell me, how did you get into your love of the brown spirits?
I was thinking about this earlier. I wish I had a clear-cut answer. Probably a lot of it was growing up in Tennessee and Jack Daniels. I started getting into... I was getting into bourbons and whiskeys before it became a cool thing. So it was easier to find and taste and drink because the price points were still low. Like Booker's didn't used to be $80 a bottle,
Right.
So I think it's one of those things that if I had to pick someone, probably my dad was the one who kind of said, this is whiskey. And if you're going to drink whiskey, only drink good whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I had no clue what he was talking about until I started developing my own palate and realized that I don't like certain aspects of things. It's okay to say no to this,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Or throw some Coke in it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if you find something you don't like, you're not going to like it. It's not going to grow on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things about why there's so many different whiskeys is that people have certain flavor profiles that they like and they go for those certain things. The key to me is breaking out of it and finding all the other things you like as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sam?
Well, I can actually totally pinpoint this. My best friend and I went through a divorce together at the same time. And I went to her house when I told my husband that I was leaving. And, I left the house and I went to her house. And she said, okay, we're drinking this. And pops down a bottle of Turkey 101. Okay. Yes, we are. I'm not a drinker, but yeah, we are drinking that. And we drank about half that bottle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was great. It really was. And so I found a love for bourbon, and then I found something that I found a little bit easier to drink, which was Jameson, and, never looked back.
Yeah. Why do you feel that Jameson is easier, or Irish whiskey is easier to drink than bourbon for you?
Because they're distilled so many times. Mm-hmm. It's just a smoother product.
Yeah.
Bourbons I find are pepperier, have more pepper to them, like a heat, like a bite. And Jameson is just very smooth. It's a little bite, little heat at the end. But, over time, I really like the pepper too. Like, I like Makers a lot. I don't drink turkey anymore.
No?
Unless I'm at my house or in a field next to a fire and I'm not leaving.
Have you had the rare bird?
The rare breed, yes.
Okay.
Of course, I love the rare breed. But,
Right.
It's a rare
Rare
breed.
breed, sorry.
It's a rare breed.
What's rare breed?
Rare breed is kind of wild turkey's top shelf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's amazing, actually. It really is great.
I
It's got a little fire to it.
I drank all mine. I don't have any more. Or I'd let you taste
That's
it.
probably okay. With the spread I'm
That
looking
Irish-
at right now, it might be okay if we
That
don't
Irish
add.
has this, now that it's laid in my mouth a little bit, it has this really nice vanilla to it that it's not a cloying, but it's just every time I breathe out, it's like, oh, I got this nice flavor to it.
I think this experience is kind of changing my. Now that I'm more aware of what the differences are, I'm thinking I'm now leaning more towards I'm giving the Irish whiskeys a try and maybe a Scotch. I don't know. You just
He's picked up a bottle. What do we have next?
Well, Desiree is an awesome host, and she's led us into the next part of whiskey. We're talking about the Irish, and I've got a bottle of Scotch here, which is one I picked up kind of as a joke, and it turned into one of my favorite Scotches. This is a Ron Burgundy, Great Odin's Raven.
I
Yes.
love Scotch. Scotch. It
Yes.
is good.
I actually am not a huge fan of Scotch. I don't like the
Well,
peat.
Try this one. It's not horribly
I guess I like to
heavy on the
say
smoke.
that I like Scotches that taste like Irish whiskey. So
Yeah.
if they're not too peaty, then they're in my realm.
At one
But
point,
also, if it's brown, I'm drinking it. So
right? Well, we're not drinking like huge shots of it either. So these are just tastings. But this one I actually looked up who the distiller was, and it turns out it's distilled by a well-known Scotch
oh, that smells great.
distillery, but I can't remember who they are off the top of my head. Sorry.
Actually, smells like Jameson to me.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
Peppery.
that's a Scotch I can drink.
Yeah. I've got a friend that she's a big Scotch drinker and has a pretty incredible collection. And I think I, maybe had one and I was like, oh, wow, was that hair on my chest? Let me slow down.
Lefroy or Talisker.
Wow, okay. But it's something I like to I like to give things a chance.
Yes.
I like to see what I
Don't kick it out of bed yet.
I won't kick it out of bed. When you start your first spirit journey, you usually drink a bunch of garbage, right?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
A lot
Mine
of
personally was vodka in a half a can of warm Pepsi. Gross.
yeah. Ooh,
Might be why I don't like vodka.
warm Pepsi. God. Oh,
See, my problem is I've never met an alcohol I didn't like.
Nice. Surely you've had a moment though with like Jose. Like you smell Jose, it doesn't make you go. Whoa.
Well, I'll take okay. I will
Okay,
give you that.
see?
I will give
All
you
right.
that. Bottom shelf tequilas I cannot do.
No, Montezuma's
yeah.
Revenge. No.
Yeah, right. No. I think the bottom line I will do on tequilas is probably Patron.
Which I feel like is the bottom line
That
of
is
top shelf.
That's
Yeah.
bottom line, but it's
Yeah.
because Patron is
Don
not.
Julio way better.
Yes.
Palo Alto slightly better.
Yeah, I have a friend that's a big tequila connoisseur. As she is allergic to a lot of other spirits, she's mostly drinks tequila or potato vodka on a special occasion, and so I've learned quite a bit about tequila, and I've have an affinity for it, although I don't drink it as much as I used to. But yeah, she was the one that kind of told me, it's like, Patron is bullshit. All they had was a good branding campaign. That's it.
I kind of agree. Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have Patron than Jose.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would absolutely take El Jimador over
Yes.
Yes.
Patron.
El Jimador.
Which is a nice, like, middle point, price point for But we're not talking about tequila.
We're not talking about tequila.
That's another show.
That's a whole nother show.
I got tequilas too.
Don will be back again to talk about tequila.
I feel like there's a level of sophistication that goes with Scotch. Like even in the packaging, the way that it's on a different level. Why is that, or how did that kind of be? Is that just a cultural or societal thing?
I don't know.
Is it the price point, or
I would say a lot of that is good marketing.
Good marketing, yes.
Like you were talking about. And also the Scotch, because there's so many different distilleries in Scotland itself, they've been able to create a mystique about what they do.
It's associated with money and
Yeah.
prestige. And, if you're a Scotch drinker, then you know what's going on in the world. You read books and you smoke cigars. And,
Yeah, and probably
and you travel. And
men's magazines had a lot to do with that from the 40s and 50s, where the men's magazines, they bought into this whole mystique of, your Pall Mall and your Scotch.
So yeah, that is definitely a big interesting part of through the years of kind of learning about spirits in different ways, is that there are different marketing and branding campaigns that have gone on. Like with tequila, I know we're not talking about tequila, but I'm just going to touch on it. Tequila's thing is that they always have interesting shaped bottles.
Yes.
That's like their thing. It's the how is it contained. That's a big part of that market for that. And then, like I mentioned with the scotches, the way that it is packaged compared to, any other bottle of bourbon or whiskey, it's just kind of, it's in a bottle. But with scotch, it's a thing. It's a box. It's a wrap. It's the way that the label it's a certain font. It's a certain type of paper that you use. That's very interesting to me. As a, someone that has, that kind of, that background, like I always kind of pay attention to design and, how are things being presented to the consumer.
Yes.
Like it's such a small area too, and they have very distinct flavors per their areas. You've got the Highlands and the Lowlands and the Elay and Speyside But you can kind of look on the label too and see where the Scotch comes from, and almost already know what its flavor profile is going to be. Like I don't like peaty things,
right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I do best with the Highlands. They're not quite so peaty.
Yes.
When you say Highlands and Lowlands and all that, what do you mean?
It's areas of Scotland.
Okay.
So there's the Highland area, and there's the Lowland area, and there's the Elay, which is the little islands. I don't know about Speyside and Campbelltown. I don't know
That's
where
okay.
They're in the middle, probably somewhere. But
they all, every area has a different flavor profile because their distillation process is just a little bit different. The peat they use is local, and so it's going to have, when you taste a Scotch, this is part of the mystique. When you taste a Scotch, you're tasting that part of Scotland.
literally.
Literally.
For real. Yeah.
The flavor in it is what that part of Scotland can give you.
Is it because of the water that's used? Is it what's being grown to make the Scotch? Or
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
And the peat process, the smoke process the peat is actually
Basically
moss, dirt.
And then it's dirt and moss, and they char it and filter through it.
Mm-hmm.
And why? So here in the States, at least, there's always a tour. You can go and see the distilling process, and you know how it's all made. So you're saying that in Scotland they don't do any of that, so it keeps its mystique.
Well, they do tours, but I think Scotland has succeeded in staying very local with all of their ingredients. I think of it more like a farm to table type restaurant. That's Scotland.
Okay.
Where the United States, even Jack Daniel's, they try and keep it as local as they can, but they're getting ingredients from other places, and they're mixing barrels to create this flavor profile. Where I think Scotland has this myth that what you're drinking is what they just pulled out of the barrel that morning.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's honestly like I had a show that was about living green and doing things a sustainable way, and so my first entry to moonshine in that capacity was doing a story on Short Mountain Moonshine Distillery and their process, and that on their farm, they were growing the corn and turning that corn into the mash and making their moonshine, and then feeding that mash back to the animals that were on the ground,
to put it back
into the earth, and
to
fertilize it, to grow more corn. And so it was just this cycle, and I loved that. So we I guess in the States, if you're doing some small batch stuff, you can still do that. But if you become a larger distributor, it does become hard to keep that kind of plan going.
Yeah. And that's the trade-off, I guess.
Yeah.
Bigger name, bigger reach, or you're smaller, local, what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And it used to be with bourbons, that's what made them unique.
I was going to touch on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now everybody's doing bourbon.
Now everybody's doing bourbon.
Used to be a bourbon, you had to come out of Bourbon County, Kentucky, and be 51% mash. Mm-hmm. But it was bourbon because it came out of Bourbon, Kentucky. But that was just their style of doing it. And then other people were like, oh, I like that. Let's adopt that. I mean, now Illinois makes a fantastic bourbon, actually.
Really?
Which is crazy. I know. I make that
shut
face
your mouth,
too. I know,
Illinois.
right? See? He's holding up a bottle of Illinois bourbon right now.
Yeah.
That says Belle Meade, though.
Right. What happened?
Garbage. That's from Illinois.
What's happening? Yes. I'm sorry to tell you this, but what's happening is this huge distillery up in Illinois is supplying everybody their bourbon. And so what places like Belle Meade are doing, which is Greenbrier Distillery here in Nashville, they're buying their base product from Illinois, and then they are putting it in the casks and developing, like, this is a cognac cask. So they took a cognac cask, put the bourbon in it, and gave it that cognac flavor profile. The nice thing is that Greenbrier, don't make that face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The Belle Meade is going to be their kind of shelf brand, and they're, I think, this year or next year, as in 2018 or 19, Greenbrier will actually start putting out a true Tennessee whiskey that they've distilled there in Nashville.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I get it. It's a business. There's supply and demand, and you got to meet the demand. So you kind of have to, farm out like that. I get it.
Right. And it's great for startups too. People who don't have the money to wait 5 or 12 years for a bottle to mature. They can get a product that's kind of halfway there, and they can say, I want to develop a flavor profile. I want to taste like this. And they play with it a little bit, and then in a couple years, instead of 10 years, they've got a product that they can put on a shelf to support themselves until their own mash.
So you're saying that they're kind of getting like the base, but then they're adding their own like seasoning to it, if you will.
As everyone does. I mean, and as they should. I mean, we're not trying to.
That's what differentiates it.
Completely remake each other's stuff. That's boring. And
right. If
and you're not that person, so you're not that label, and you're not that company. So you have to do your own thing.
Gotta do your own thing. I am seeing a bottle. It looks like it's from Japan.
Yes.
Japan makes whiskey.
Wow.
And they do not do a terrible job.
Wow. I just
the Japanese
cannot comprehend that. Okay.
Well, the Japanese have become one of the premier whiskey makers in the world. They did their homework. They drank a lot of American whiskey and bought a lot of our distilleries. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens. We live in a global economy. We live in the world.
I think
But
they mostly like specialize in barley mash.
yeah,
And they do a little peat filter too, but not anywhere near what, a Scotch would
I
filter
bought this
through.
is a Akasahi or Akasi. I'm horrible.
Akashi?
Akashi. Sorry, my bad. Akashi, and I was looking for another Japanese bottle that I could not find, so I bought this instead. So I've not tried this. This will be fun. But the Japanese have gotten really good at distilling and perfecting
It's very.
whiskey flavors.
Oh, the nose is great.
Oh wow, that's really fruity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is flavorful.
Oh, that's a good Scotch, isn't it?
So this
Oh
is
my God, I'm a fan.
This is a Japanese Scotch. It's
Well-
not just a
Well,
They can't call it
It's brown.
Scotch.
it's brown. Okay.
Yeah.
To be Scotch, it has to come from Scotland.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Scotland's got the market on that, but yes, this would be if it were made in Scotland, this would be a Scotch.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
the same
absolutely.
process that goes for that.
And it would be a Scotch I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this made I
Very
actually
low on the peat. And
yeah, I got
Not
this
very
because
smoky.
it was in Forbes top 10.
thanks,
So,
Forbes.
right?
I'm excited about that.
So how long ago did Japan start getting into this
Last
this
30
market?
years.
Yeah.
Last 30 years.
It's been very recent.
Frank Sinatra brought whiskey
Yes.
to,
They were like,
Japan.
this cool cat, we gotta roll on that.
Chris
Yeah.
Sinatra introduced whiskey to a lot of us. So,
To the world.
yay, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
So that the Bill Murray film that was in Tokyo, the
Lost in translation.
Lost in
Yes.
Translation, wasn't he doing a commercial for?
The Japanese whiskey.
It was
Yes.
a Japanese whiskey. Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I know he was there and he was doing a bunch of stuff, but I remember him sitting in a chair and doing the whole thing.
With ascot. And
Yeah.
Smoker's jacket or whatever.
Wow.
Which is now in the United. You can now buy that whiskey in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of it?
I wish I could.
I'll have to look it up.
You can Google it.
Yes.
Google it. Lost in Translation, Bill Murray,
whiskey.
whiskey, Tokyo
Commercial.
commercial. Yeah, this is
Oh, this is good.
this is interesting.
I'm pleased with
It is
it.
so smooth.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean,
It's dangerous.
it is dangerous.
This is dangerous.
It is dangerous. It's really good.
It's my favorite kind.
And you can get this in town. Like, you can just get it in any your local store,
Your local stores.
spirit store.
I actually got this one at a happy hour. Or
Love them too.
Yes, yes.
They
yes,
have
yes.
a huge selection of stuff.
Not too long ago, Des, we did the Feminist Drinking Club at the pub. We did
I was jealous of that, by the way.
the whiskey tasting.
It's the women who whiskey.
The women who whiskey. And,
Sorry, we're not the
a lot
gender for
of
that.
a lot of ladies there showed up because they were intimidated by whiskey. And I think what they found out through sampling all these things that there's probably a whiskey in there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you will be able to find something that you will drink and that you will like. You don't have to like everything. You don't
Yeah.
have to pound it all and drink it straight. Do whatever you want, but the
Yeah.
sampling is just really nice.
Yeah, that idea came from Jennifer, who's been on the show, talking about science fiction a couple episodes ago. She and I kind of talk about, like having a safe space for women to try and learn
Without a lot of mansplaining.
without a bunch of some dude out there telling them
Well,
how
what you're looking for here,
little lady would like. No one needs that.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
And then there's been some of the women were there were
offense.
like, hey,
None taken.
no, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
thank
have
you.
not found that
I
you do that.
specifically asked you when you do it, it's because I asked you a question. Hashtag not all men. But it was some of the women would go maybe on business trips and want to know, like, I want to order something, I'm with all these guys in suits, that I work with, my colleagues, and I want to feel confident going up and ordering something and ordering it the correct way. Like, how should I order it? You know, how, like, which should I get? Do I want a whiskey? Do I want a bourbon? Is there a certain way that they each have to come? And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do that. I wanted to have this safe space for women to experience this without having to, you know, be mansplained about everything, or, you know, like, oh, well, what you really need to do is this. It's like, no, you don't.
We're being told how to drink your whiskey. When I think that
Little honey, what you're looking for is wine.
I think what we came out of that experience was it being okay to like the things that you like and not like the things that you don't like. And however you like it, that's how you like it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, I feel like it was a very amazing experience for everyone involved. Even me, you know, I drink all the whiskey. So, you know, but it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do another, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Now that it's getting cold again, it's time to warm our little selves up. Yeah, time to do scotch.
Yeah.
Because the things that I do have more to do with suiting my own interests.
Heck, boom. Damn.
You know, like I had the women whiskey, but it didn't necessarily teach us all the differences between whiskey, bourbon, scotch. And so, you know, in getting to know Dawn a little better over this past year, I've been like, hey, like, you and I've came over here for a party. I was like, you got a good collection.
He really
I would
does,
like,
guys. You
I would
should
like
see
to
this
sample your
cabinet over here.
wares,
It's
please.
great.
But I want to learn. You know, anytime that I usually do something of that nature, it's usually because I'm like, you know, I'm curious about it. You know about it. Hey, you know, teach me if you're up for it, and we can hang out and have fun or whatever.
What was nice about that Jack spread, though, is there's really kind of a flavor for everybody involved. And, you know, it just reiterated to the ladies that it's not all whiskey. It's not just like a solid across the board flavor profile. Like, you'll be able to find stuff that you like. And I think it just encouraged them to taste things as they venture forward. Yeah. And not be afraid of it.
Exactly.
It's not a man's world.
That's an awesome thing. You're talking about tasting and stuff like that. I have all these bottles of whiskey and bourbons and scotch. And one of the reasons why I have so many is it took me a long time to realize this, but all of this stuff is meant to be shared with people, and the experience
Exactly.
is something.
Fellowship.
The fellowship of it, the experience.
Which I like to use outside of a secular.
Yeah. See who gets that spirit from the spirits, you know?
From the spirits. I'm going to steal that.
Please do.
I'm totally that.
It's one of those things where I like to see what people's reactions are to different flavors and find things that is really, really conducive to a communal atmosphere, which I think, you know, that's what whiskeys do.
Well, you know, I've been a bartender for years.
Yeah.
And I'm never trying to sell somebody a drink and get them out the door. Like, I want them to drink something, and I want them to enjoy it. And especially if they don't know what they want, then we can have a conversation, and I guarantee you I'll get you something that you will be okay with. But my absolute favorite is when somebody comes in and is like, oh, you have Basil Hayden's. I've never had that before. You've got Amador. I've never had that before. How's that Angel Envy rye? I'm like, I will give you little sippy tasties, and we will talk about it. Like, I want you to learn. I want you to find what you want to drink so that you can have a good time and enjoy your experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to just, like, give you a vodka and tonic and send you on your way. Yeah. Like, I want you to hang out. Let's have a conversation. What do you drink? Let's branch you out.
Oh, this is the last one.
Oh,
the last
geez.
one.
Last one.
He's brought out a bottle of turkey.
Yeah, this is.
I'm neither at home nor by a fire.
You're breaking your rules.
I am.
This is wild turkey.
But it's 81.
It's the 81, and I actually
the
prefer the 81 to the 101. I think it is a smoother drink. I think it has a better flavor to it. Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've ever tasted the 81.
Oh, I think you'll like the 81. I don't think that...
Because the 101, you know, it kind of like lights your hair on fire and kicks you in the ass.
Right.
And sends you running around like a crazy person. But, you know, that's fun too. So.
This is your kind of basic Kentucky bourbon.
Okay. Smells good.
Yeah, we were talking
Doesn't
about
make me go, whoo.
right. We were talking about Jim Beam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course, everybody knows about Maker's Mark and all that stuff. And as someone who's done the Bourbon Trail a couple times,
Ugh, I'm jealous.
oh yeah,
One day.
it's a
One
good
day.
time. It's someone everybody should do it.
I feel like I'm going to take 3-4 days. Bourbon Trail.
Yeah.
But
That's my
yeah,
goal.
so here it is. This is the turkey. It's the 81, and I have it in my bar because I like it.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's not
that is
as
so much better than
I wouldn't steer you wrong.
I feel like back in the day, the 101, the point was the 101 proof. Like, bam,
Yeah.
just get you out of your misery, put
Yeah.
you down.
I think anything over 100 proof is you're just looking to get tanked.
Oof.
Yeah.
What was the George Stagg?
Yes,
You
Stag.
familiar with Stagg?
Mm-hmm.
What is that, like 143.7
Yeah.
or something stupid? So I had ordered that for a bar that I used to work at. It took us about 6 months to get it because it was allocated.
Of course.
And word of the day. So we finally got it in, and the owner of the restaurant and the executive chef of the kitchen, we were all really excited that we got it in. So I pour 3 shots for us. Me a half a shot because, well, I was working. So, and I didn't look at the proof, like I wasn't paying attention. I was just excited to have it. So half shot for me, 2 full shots for them. So executive chef, he shoots his. Owner, when he shoots his whiskey, he doesn't throw it back. He sip,
Right.
like gulp, 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 gulp. So I threw mine back, which was really small, and I was like, oh, whoo, oof. That's got some fire behind it. So the owner, he sip, out from his nose.
No.
I mean, he's literally laying on the ground, coughing and spluttering and rolling around while me and the
Wow.
executive chef are pointing and laughing at him.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I pick up the bottle and look at the proof. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Some water?
Sweetie, you
Okay.
You okay? Oh,
Oh.
Linda, honey,
look
baby.
it. Listen.
Listen,
No.
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Honey,
Why?
Sam, what you got for us, babe?
Well, I've been thinking about it. In the, in this climate, it's so easy to get involved with other things. So I just kind of want to talk about restaurant etiquette today.
Oh, yes, please do.
Sure. So, for instance, if your server says anything to you, please listen to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then respond accordingly.
Yes.
So, for instance, if your server says, "Hey guys, how you doing today?" Sweet tea is not the correct response. It's not.
How often does that happen?
You would be
God.
surprised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fairly obnoxious. And, we do our best to smile through it and save you for last and then go, "What were you drinking?" We have our own passive aggressive things to handle that. But yeah, if we say, "How are you?" correct response would be, "Great. How are you?" Because I don't care how you are.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't.
It's just what I say.
Just pleasantries.
Mm-hmm. Or if I say, "Hey guys, what are we drinking today?" Beer is also not a correct response. I'm sure you are drinking beer.
But what specific beer would you like? This isn't the show of Roseanne where it's just a can that says beer.
Beer, no.
Okay.
Because now I have one of 2 options, and they're both passive aggressive. One would be to bring you the cheapest, shittiest beer that I have, or to bring you the most expensive beer that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
It's beer.
Yeah.
Hi.
You want beer.
Beer.
Okay. Got you.
Also, like snapping.
So Garcon is not a.
Garçon.
Actually, I would totally respond to Garcon.
Oh, okay. All
Absolutely. I'd be like, "Yes, sir. What can I get for you? Great. You're obviously slightly educated. Let's talk about it."
But snapping.
Snapping, waving your empty glass,
Oh.
waving your hand. banging your glass on the table for a refill. No, these are not appropriate things.
What is the correct
What kind
way?
of food do you have?
Oh.
Well, there's a menu.
Food.
Hot,
Hot food. There's
tasty,
some cold.
on a
Yeah.
plate.
Mhm.
It's, edible.
I'm sorry. Do you not know where you are? You
Yeah,
just
where-
stumble in
where-
here? Did you
that
not choose
happens a
this
lot.
place?
So I'm a lunchtime bartender, right?
Yep.
So I frequently get people sitting at my bar for lunch. Hey guys, what are we having to drink today? Oh, no, I'm not drinking. I'm on lunch break. Okay, I understand. It is lunch. We also have water, tea, Coke. Do you want a liquid in a glass in front of you
Mm-hmm.
with your food?
Mm-hmm. Just, hey, calm down.
It's
Calm down.
I'm
no
not
one
twisting
is trying.
your arm. I mean,
Yeah.
I will with no judgment.
You
You
know.
can have as many beers as you want during lunch if you want to, but I'm not forcing you to. Tea's fine.
That is fine.
Just be nice to your servers.
Yeah. Treat them like, I don't know,
Listen to
human
them.
beings.
Yeah,
They're humans too.
we are.
Respond to them.
We know all the things.
Yeah,
Or we should.
you should.
We should.
There are some times where they don't. It's like,
Well,
oh, honey, is this your first day? It's like, no, I've been here 3 years.
Oh.
Oh, how?
Well.
How have you lasted? Because you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, I've worked with plenty of them. Plenty. Not now, right now, actually.
No, they're all
I'm actually in a wonderful place, so
good. Good.
great staff.
Any other tips from the...
I mean, yeah, just listen to what your server's saying to you and respond accordingly.
And give actual answers.
Yes.
Not just generalities.
No.
Like beer.
I'll have a beer.
Or,
I'm sure you will.
I'm sure you will, sir.
Here's a Kloster Holler. Enjoy.
Here is the most expensive beer on the menu.
The Kloster Holler, by the way, is O'Doul's, but better.
Duels, but better. I'm probably a horrible, customer. In that, well, I don't know if it's horrible, but I'm the guy who never knows what he wants, and I always solicit the server for their opinion on.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's actually great, as long as you take the server's advice. And if
I
you
always
say,
do.
If you say, I'm debating between this dish and this dish, which one would you prefer? Oh, I prefer dish A, and you order dish B.
Why did you ask me?
Why did you ask
Yeah.
You were just talking out loud to hear yourself, which is fine. It's fine. But we're standing over here going,
Yeah.
Well, if I think there's only been one time where I've been kind of disappointed with the server's choice, and it was more because probably more because of the food rather than the service choice. That makes sense.
Well, and everybody has their own taste.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're always running a crapshoot if you ask somebody else's opinion.
Right.
And you don't give any, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Okay, then we can find you something that you like. Like, for instance, I had a table long time ago. I used to work at a Rafferty's. And we had a lasagna that was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, it was terrible. 90% of the people sent it back, refused to pay for it. And the rest of the 10% didn't eat it. They were too nice to send it back. So this lady says to me, well, I'm debating between this lasagna or this steak. I'm like, oh, trust me. You want to do the steak. Great, I'll have the lasagna. Okay. Sure. Here's your lasagna.
You're going to regret it.
10 minutes later, I come by. She's taking one bite. How's everything? Great. Is it? Okay. Everything's fine.
You don't have to lie to me, dear.
At the end of the meal, she still only had that one bite. Can I get you a box for that? No. Mm-hmm.
Told you. Should have gotten the steak.
I told you so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to be difficult.
That's one. I think
Make
one
your
of
own
the
decisions. That's fine.
talking about.
Unless she owned up. I mean,
unless you own up to it, it's like, oh, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have had this. Yeah.
and I would have happily got her something immediately.
Right.
like the steak
Yeah.
that she probably actually wanted.
But you sit in your wrongness, ma'am. That's fine.
Yeah, you bask in that.
Hate it for you.
Talking
No, I
about
don't.
server stuff, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a friend of ours was they traveled Europe a lot. And what she told me was always ask the server for whatever dish of the day it is and always get the house wine in Europe. And it works in the United States as well because, believe it or not, places like pick your normal restaurant, they actually pair their wines with their food. It's not just whatever's cheap that day.
No, it's not.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, the Italian place, I'm drawing a blank.
Mauricio's.
No, the chain restaurant.
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. Olive Garden is one of those places where they actually have people who they pay people to pair things.
What?
Yeah, they
Olive
do.
Garden?
Believe it or not, Olive Garden does a lot of research into what wines go good with their foods.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Their food
There.
good? I don't
Yeah.
know. Sorry, I may not be a fan.
There's that.
That's all right. That's all right. But
But
you know,
maybe if I ordered a glass of wine,
mm-hmm.
it would be a better overall experience.
Well, it's always going to be better with a
Of
glass of wine.
A bottle of wine. Suddenly I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. All right, Don, what's yours?
Oh God, Linda.
Honey, no.
Honey, let me tell you about this right now. So I've been really struggling because you kind of gave us a heads up on what you were going to ask, and I really try not to be political. It's one of those things where we get at the beginning. You were talking about this midterm election that we've had, which has been fantastic for. And I hate to use the word progressives, but for people who are looking,
Wow, it's my favorite word.
yeah, well, I think sometimes it's used in the wrong way because no matter what you think about Hillary, I don't think she was really a progressive. I think she liked to couch herself as one. I think she was actually more of a war hawk than we wanted to admit. And some of the things have come out that was like, kind of justified my thoughts on that, but regardless, yeah,
Still would have rather had Hillary.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
but either way, I voted for Bernie. I'm going to say it. I voted for Bernie
that's
Sanders.
Okay. I voted for him in the primary, so I'm with you.
But no, I think this our climate right now. We're at a kind of tipping point in the United States, where we have to really be involved in our process. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat or independent or libertarian or whoever you are. I think you should really be involved in our process because we research it. We talk a lot about whiskey and stuff like that and how it's a community thing and how it brings people together.
That's what we need at the local Democrat meeting is more whiskey.
More whiskey. But yeah, I
help.
think as a nation, we're kind of struggling with that still being one person. And so my Linda, oh God, please
Honey.
just remember that we're all freaking humans out here, kind of struggling along. So that's my Linda thing right now is I'm really frustrated with how we're treating each other.
Yeah.
That's fair
Yeah.
enough. That's actually a really good point.
It's like, honey, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Honey, let's have a glass of whiskey and get through it.
Let's have some fellowship time.
Yeah.
It's fellowship. All right. Mine is Nashville. Honey, baby, your hotel prices are dumb.
Yeah.
They're dumb.
It is dumb.
What are you charging people? Who's paying this?
Arm and a leg.
An arm and a
firstborn.
leg. Your firstborn. You got to give blood samples. Honey, really? On a Tuesday, you're going to charge me $600? On a Tuesday? Girl, it's during the week.
For a king size bed, not even a refrigerator.
And so what I'd
TV's
like
broken.
to know is that they are, I guess, consistently getting these prices because that's what they are each week. You know, you can't go down to Nashville for a weekend now because it's become
Because
so
of the
hip.
influx of constant bachelorette parties.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's great for the economy. I get it. But do you have to price gouge? Really? Because you
Right.
can still go to Las Vegas and get the most luxe room on a weekend night. You know, I haven't
But can
checked,
you
but
get a honky tonk in 7
can you
different
get
bars? Can you hear Wagon Wheel 8 times in 20
a
minutes?
pass and pass? But but at least, you know your market. My God, you don't pay those prices in New York, Chicago. You
Well,
know,
we're the next, we're, as a suburb of Nashville, I guess we're the next biggest thing.
I mean, I
And that's,
yeah, but
that's the
I'm just
thing.
saying, like
It's gross.
it's making it hard to go and spend time and money and other establishments when you're price gouging and having just outrage. Like, that is the dumbest price for a hotel I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It was a Tuesday. It was during the week. In Vegas, you can get a room for dirt cheap during the week because,
Right.
whatever.
Was there a
'Cause they're gonna make the money
particular
up on the
event
weekend.
that was going on in Nashville? I mean, was it like the CMAs or a Predators game? Or...
That's actually this week, so no.
So no, okay.
No, I mean it doesn't matter anymore. That definitely was a factor in the sense that by then most of the rooms are taken up.
Right.
But if there's not even an event going on, it was like in between. Like I said, it was a Tuesday, and the prices are outrageous. Like, get your shit together. Who's paying this? I think there should be a boycott on paying that much damn money for a hotel room. But if people are paying it, they're gonna keep having their prices
Yeah.
that high. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but it's
So whose fault is that? Is that the
I don't know.
massive influx of people who are willing to pay that stupid amount of price to
No, because
hit
Las
the honky tonk?
no,
Second
because Las
Avenue, or-
Vegas has had masses spill in every weekend for decades, and they've never price gouged like that. To me, I thought like $400 at the Wynn was steep, but it is certainly considerable. It is certainly more doable compared to during the week a $600 bill in Nashville. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
you're out of your damn mind.
Yeah, that's
We've and you know, to go along with
That's
the
crazy.
hotel rooms is you've got parking in Nashville, which is extreme.
unless you park at the library, very
You-
affordable, $7 all night.
Right. You have
Calling
to
it a
you
day.
have to know your parking areas, but if you're
Mhm.
coming in from Nashville not knowing where to go,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying $20-$30 an hour.
An hour.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
insane.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what used to be a destination for folks from, surrounding areas to drive in, come in for the weekends, spend money, stimulate the economy, it's
Not a
we're
thing anymore.
it's not a thing
It's
anymore.
not viable.
And I'm gonna be going to Knoxville and Chattanooga and hell, even Atlanta more often because I can get a
Kind of cooler towns anyway.
yeah. I mean, Nashville's definitely gotten cooler since when I was a kid there, but honey, that ain't worth it.
No.
I think we should also mention the amount of bachelorette parties that are going on in Nashville. Actually, I think I could make a
Garbage.
career out of it.
Don't
really
get me
do.
started.
Like, I feel like me and you and a couple other girls can take turns wearing the bridal tiara or whatever and just have our entire nights paid for. Drink, 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 for free. Your turn.
Whoa,
Okay,
whoa, they're
next
drinking
one.
for free?
Have you met a bachelorette party? Do you know how many people buy them drinks?
What?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, God.
Mhm. Oh, buy the bride a drink. Get the bride a drink.
Uh,
Get the bride a drink. Drinks on me. Congratulations, bride. Don't get married.
You haven't been to
Gross.
Broad lately, have you?
gross. No,
Well,
as a
there you
native, I do not go to Broad on the weekends. Or period. If
Well,
I can
yeah.
help it. Like, the only time I go down there is if I have to for a concert.
Well, I've hosted some out of towners in Nashville over the couple of
I
years.
send them down there. I do
and
not
they
go with
and
them.
they inevitably want to go there, and I'm like, "Ugh, okay, well, here we go. Be prepared to hear Wagon Wheel 20 fucking times and see 17 bachelorette parties.
Good night. I mean, if I do end up down there, I will go to Robert's Western World because that is an institution and they still have good music. And I guess that's about it.
Well, you're not hitting Margaritaville
No,
or the trailer.
Actually, the trailer has rockin' bands.
Do they? Oh, I
Yeah.
will go there
They
because it is kitschy.
may only play Wagon Wheel once there. So, yes, I agree.
I'll go
yeah,
there.
Yeah. And their wings are cheap,
Trailer
so
park,
that's
I'll go
good.
there. But anything else, it's like, just come on, be fucking reasonable, people, please. My God.
Right?
And quit charging $700 for
So, on that
place to
note,
sleep.
for a place to pass out,
Yeah, so a place to pass out. Let's be real about it.
you're paying
I'm just passing out.
rent, a month's rent for a night. Cool. I mean, if you got it, awesome. I would love to be in your shoes, I guess, for it to not be that
Or
big
your
a deal to
friend.
me. Yeah, but, well, it was a company situation, but it's ridiculous. So,
Honey, no.
honey, no. On that note, thank you, Dawn, Sam, for another rousing discussion over some of our favorite topics.
It was a pleasure.
Cool. It was
Thanks for
awesome.
having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, sharing your knowledge. And again, if you have any, show topics that you'd like to discuss or any ideas or any questions, I guess, if you have any, questions you need answered by some Lindas who also don't know what to do with their life, you can shoot us an email at coupleoflindas@gmail.com. We also have our website, coupleoflindas.com. And find us on Facebook to, keep up and subscribe and share and send to your friends, rate us 5 stars, all that good stuff. If you like what you're hearing, please do that. And we will catch you next time on A Couple of Lindas.
Bye.
Bye-bye.